Good evening, boys and ghouls. This is your humble horror host, Frankenstein. Today I am hosting this flip through because as we are speaking of one of my favorite characters, who I have a, familiar connection with, shall we say, I figured it was very appropriate that I speak of this particular version of our favorite monster. You see, during the so-called golden age of comics, there was a certain time where the uneducated masses, if you will, believed that monsters caused, some sort of degradation in children. As we all know, children love monsters, and especially our good friend Frankenstein. So, in order to keep our friend alive, so to speak, Frankenstein essentially became a everyman, and his comic became more or less a sitcom. I don't know if this would inspire the monsters later on, but it does make one wonder. So, let us join Frankenstein and friends as we flip through number 8 of Frankenstein's very own comic. This was Frankenstein during his earlier, more terrifying phase. Frankly, I like both. But let's take a look at Frankenstein's more comedic phase, shall we? Let's see, this is published bi-monthly by Crestwood Publishing. This is issue number 8. So our good friend Frankenstein sees these zombies, and of course, like any good citizen, he's worried about these poor zombies. Truly, a man of the people is our Frankenstein. Yeah, of course, Frankenstein has a friend who's a witch, and she's in a special powder that's supposed to help him break the zombie's curse. Of course, it turns out it's not zombies, it's just these people who are working with Milo that are covered in flowers. Everything's kind of a misunderstanding, but the fact they're able to keep that element with Frankenstein and not turn his horror comic into a comedy comic is pretty fun. Or Frankenstein himself is still supernatural. And then we have, the standard comedy character. I'm sorry, gals and ghouls, but this was the style of the time. Then, of course, we have our standard text piece. And then we have our friend Frankenstein showing his musical chops as he takes the role of the Pied Piper. Yes, Frankenstein is a lover of animals, as we all are. If I had the budget, I'd play the song of the Pied Piper. And then we have Frankenstein pulling a little of a try and do Doctor Strange's technique here. You mind if I take over, Frankie? Oh, of course, American Samurai, be my guest. Thank you. So we have Frankenstein, and let's see, what's a little of a Superman / Doctor Strange parody here, as he tries to learn this spirit technique from this man here. Though it doesn't go well the first time. These two are a parody of Siegel and Schuster, so we have a bit of a Superman parody here. As they turn him into Blooper Man. And they actually succeed the second time, doesn't it? It's pretty impressive. It's interesting that they able to change his character from being a Frankenstein, being a horror character, to a everyday character, and it just works so well with the character Frankenstein. You can believe that he couldn't do that. I think that's where later on the monsters, it worked so well with that too. Herman Munster is essentially kind of a continuation of this character, this version of Frankenstein, from being the monster to the everyday man. So I hope you enjoyed this flip through of Frankenstein issue 8. And let me know what you like better, the more horror character, or do you like the more comedic take? Kind of like the Herman Munster. Like I said, for me and Frankie, we like both. But it's kind of cool that they were able to take something scary and turn it into something more comedic, and still keep old Frankenstein around during the comic book days when horror monsters weren't allowed. Old Frankenstein still is able to survive. Alright, comment, subscribe, hit that bell icon for new, and I hope you enjoyed this Franken flip through. We'll see you next time, right here on Bookie 749.